Hello again. Okay, so what I forgot to say at the end of this the last video was that as soon as I put the oiled plastic over the dough for it to rest, then I turn on the oven with my casserole dish inside the oven, 475, and it heats up. My oven takes about half an hour, which is exactly the length that we want our dough to rest. So it's been half an hour. My casserole dish is in the oven. It's reached 475. We're ready to go on to the next step, which is to score the dough. So we'll take the plastic off, and because it was oiled, it comes off easily. Now, because this was on a cookie sheet, I was able to carry it around, put it wherever I wanted it. That's the only reason for the cookie sheet. Now we need our razor blade, and this is the one that I like. This is called a UFO scoring thingamadooey. Again, the technical term. And I just like it because it's easier to maneuver than some of the others that I've tried. Now, scoring the dough is important just because when it rises, it will crack. And scoring it controls where you want it to crack. So I'm going to tell you how I do it, and you can do whatever you want. But I think technically you're supposed to have your razor at a bit of an angle like that when you score, because tradition says that what you want is a really dramatic ear, so that when it rises, there's kind of a ridge of a ridge. There's a ridge. I don't like the ridge because it just doesn't look nice to me. So I don't angle my razor blade. I try and keep it upright as much as possible. You can score this however you want. Some people make like some, 4 or 5 cuts, 3, 4 or 5 cuts along the top like this. I don't usually do that. Some people make one big score right down the middle. I don't like that either. So I tend to make mine on the side, kind of around one side of the dough, and then it will lift some. And because I'm not angling my razor very much, it should lift without creating a really severe ridge or ear. So I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to attempt to keep my razor blade up, and I'm just going to kind of gently cut a line. It's almost like a smile, kind of making a smiley face in the dough. But then I go over it again to try and get it nice and deep cut like that. And that should work. My tutorial videos are the best. Okay, so I think that's probably good enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over the heated up casserole dish so that you can see what I do. Very hot, extreme caution required. Put it on here because I don't know what it'll do to this counter. And then what I do, and this is a little bit of a hack, this is free of charge. I put rice in the bottom of my casserole dish, a layer of rice. And the reason for this is it creates a bit of a barrier on the bottom of the casserole dish, and your bread will sit right on top of this rice. And the bottom of the bread doesn't get as tough. And I've had a lot of comments from people that I give my bread to, that they like the softer bottom, because sourdough traditionally can be very hard on the bottom. So it's just a preference thing, I guess. But anyway, I've used this lid, just to carefully pat down the rice into a single layer. And then I will lift my parchment paper with the bread on it right into the casserole dish like that. Oh, you know what I should have done first, but I didn't, is trim the parchment paper. So I'm actually going to do that because I can. So let's put this right on top of the casserole dish. And I'm just going to show you how I trim the parchment paper with a pair of scissors. You can carefully trim around the dough. And this creates just a bit of a sling, I guess you would call it. That has 2 long handles. So now I've trimmed it so that I've got 2 long handles here, and I can easily, now I'm gonna move this cookie tray off of the casserole dish. I can easily lift this up now that I've created this sling and put it into the casserole dish. And now all I'm gonna do is put the lid back on. And these 2 pieces of parchment paper are okay. You can trim them a little bit so that they're not quite as long, but you're still going to use them when you take the bread out, when the bread is done. So then I'm just going to put it into the oven. What does it say here? Yeah, I'm going to place this into the oven. And then as soon as you put it in the oven, you reduce the heat to convection, if you have it, convection 450. If you put convection 450, it'll automatically reduce it to 425. And then you bake it for 20 minutes, remove the lid, and bake it for another 20 minutes. So I sure hope it turns out, sweetie. I'll maybe give you a shot of how mine looks when it's done. I haven't done this recipe for a long time, so I'm really curious to see how it works, but it should be great. So here we go.